I'm Christopher Stanton, and I conceived the Red Machine. The thing came to me. This is a project that's been around for a long time, and it's born as as a lot of the stuff that I do. It's born from a fascination with the fragility of human life in a lot of ways, it came to me a few years back when I was reading a lot of Oliver Sacks and that kind of stuff, like neurology case studies where part of the brain was damaged, and there was some very strange things happen to you and your worldview when you have brain damage. I think the seed was planted probably much earlier than that, when I was in grade 7, actually. A good friend of mine had been in a car accident. We had had a falling out. We were good pals, and we'd had a falling out, and grade 8 rolls around, and he gets in this car accident, and he had major brain damage, and just was sort of arrested at that point in time, and sort of was reduced to a childish version of himself. If I don't even know if I'm describing that right, but there was a completely different human being came out of that car crash, and I think very early on it got me to thinking about the fragility of the human brain, and where does our identity, where does what we think of as ourselves, how does that relate to the really fragile sort of meat thing in our heads? So that's sort of what we're exploring with the project. As far as the sort of the past iterations of it, we early on what happened was, this is about 2008 or so. I asked 7 different writers to write about 7 different parts of the human brain. I gave them, there's all kinds of different parts of the human brain that, the topography of the brain is an interesting thing in itself, where vision is situated, and where music appreciation is situated, and where, the personality sort of higher function is, and the auditory cortex that deals with sound, and there's 2 very specific centers on the left side that deal with speech, the production of speech and the understanding of speech. And so I gave 7 different writers 7 different sort of parts of the brain, and gave them a little bit of research on what that part of the brain does, what happens when that part of the brain is injured, like a few case studies that would sort of spark them, their sort of creative journey, and just basically said to them, here's an overarching kind of narrative that you might want to look at. And it was basically a guy walks into a hotel room, a guy named Hugo walks into a hotel room to work on a book that he's stumped at. He's got writer's block, he wants to work on this book, and as we sort of unfold the layers of this mystery, it becomes clear that there's something wrong with his brain, and it's unclear whether he's actually in this hotel at all. And so we performed all 7 of those scripts over the course of summer works. We did 3 of them for Fringe, 3 of them for summer works, and 1 of them, the last one, for LabCAD in October. And then kind of decided, okay, well, as we went, we learned a lot more about what we wanted to do, what the aesthetic of this thing was. And we decided, wouldn't it be great to go into a theater for a week, put aside the scripts, not worry about making this text-based anymore, because this really was a project that predated The Room and its mandate, so we kind of had this sort of text-based idea, and we thought, wouldn't it be great to put that text aside for the time being, and just create a theatrical language of what it would be like for the brain. We're concentrating on 4 parts for this. What it would be like for 4 different parts of the brain to interpret one thing, and that one thing is that Hugo has a stroke. So what would the visual cortex have to say about that? How would the sonic experience be about having a stroke? How would the speech center interpret it in just text and words? So yeah, and that's what this week has been about. It's been about using the space to dream in and just come up with a theatrical language to move forward with. And that's what Under the Knife has been about.